Okay, let's try and do these 8 questions for Mo. Try and do them and get through them in 10 minutes. So, first question, difficulty keeping time. I find that I do easy bits quicker than the harder bits, so lose my flow. I would say you need to do that slower. Do the hard bits slower. You're learning the easy bits and you're probably enjoying playing those, and the hard bits are not fun. Slow them right down. Use YouTube. You can halve the speed now and slow it down to comical speeds until you get over that, those difficult parts, and that will mean that you maintain tempo. So you get to a hard bit, you're struggling because you haven't learnt it as good as well, so you slow down because your brain's thinking about it, and your hands, you shouldn't be thinking about it like that. You shouldn't be thinking about it, it should be something that's, if you want to maintain tempo, you can't be thinking too much about what you're playing. Number 2, finger strength. As I play along, for example, rhythm, my fingers tend to loosen both at the fretting hand and the pick hand. Okay, so I would say, starting with the right hand, try and remove all tension. If you watch someone like, Jimmy at Woodstock, it's a great example of a fluid, really fluid right arm. Plectrum loose in the hand, not tight. His arm's like water. This wrist should be loose and able to flop around, and this arm should be able to move. You shouldn't have tension in it. A lot of people I see nowadays, they're really tight here. You can see the white in their thumb as they're picking. It's so tight, which may work for them, but not for me. Rest the forearm on what would be the arch at the top of the guitar here, and anchor it in, but not pressed tight, just rested and anchored. And then you want to play in an arc shape. Your arm, this hinge of the elbow, should be an arc. Not hard. Not hard and attacking down, unless you want that sound. But if you're finding you're getting worn out, this arm's not loose enough, not fluid enough. Left hand, you're obviously going to have some pressure, so it's easy to build up tension in the left hand, and then you get tired. A good way to relieve that or get in a good place is to sit up straight, not like I was then. Shoulder down, drop the shoulder, so the thumb comes down to the middle of the fretboard, middle of the neck, and on the back, not over the top. Obviously, playing Jimmy, he's right over the top all the time, but he's got hands probably twice the size of mine. And my thumb creeps over sometimes, but for learning and building that good technique, thumb in the middle at the back, and bring in especially for open chords, like you want to be coming straight down on the fretboard, so I'm coming down onto it, not pads out like that. I end up doing it. Power chords end up like that, but that's what you're aiming for. Like if you're playing an A power chord on the 5th string, you should be doing. You get lazy and I do that, but you end up, if you learn like that, the strength's not there. You want to be using the ends, the callus ends of your fingers, straight on it, not pad down, shoulder down, thumb in the center. Number 3, I struggle to play songs at the speed of the song. I lose my place very quickly, then find it hard to get back to the correct place. Metronome, I never used to play with metronome. I should have done, and I do now. I have a very good drummer friend that I grew up with who is excellent at keeping time, and that I think is where I learned a lot of my timekeeping. A lot of my timekeeping was from him playing well, and I didn't know it. I obviously had I could somewhat feel it, but someone that's playing well in time, if you can play with them, that will help you a lot. Also, slow it down. Again, if you can't play up to speed, you need to slow it down until you can play at that speed, and then increase the speed. If you're playing with others, you can do that. But if you're playing with others, often, like running with someone faster, you will end up keeping up. You'll improve so much more. So playing with others is a key for. As soon as I started playing in bands, I improved more in a week than I had in the previous 6 months. So that's what you need to do if you really want to step that up, because they won't wait for you. If you've got 4 other people or 2 other people that are playing, they're moving forward, you have to. So you kind of have to do it. But otherwise, metronome and slow it down. Number 4 is technique question. I struggle from playing chords to playing single strings. So I guess that's from moving from a chord to a single string melody. I tend to either pick the string below or above the string that I should be playing with my pick. I think I remember this very well. If you're like learning a C chord, you're like putting the C chord down slowly, and then you do that, and you can't pick out the notes. And this picking hand is missing and catching strings that your left hand isn't fretting. And these are both getting in a muddle. What you need to do is get this hand to know exactly where these fingers are. You need that one to be in tune. These 2 hands need to be in tune without thinking about and looking at where you are. The exercise I recommend for that is a finger per string, finger per fret, all the way up the neck exercise. It goes like this. And then you come back, and I'm doing up and downs with my right hand. So I'm going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And I made a mistake there, so I should go back. And then I move up a fret. And I play all those notes as clean as I can with a metronome, ideally. You can just put the TV on in the background or film or something and just do that mechanically, up and down, until you get to fret 12 and then all the way back. And then once you can do that, try skipping a string. So you play on the 6th string, 4th string, 5th string, 3rd string, 4th string, 2nd string. And then move up a fret and do that all the way up and down, backwards and forwards until your hand will burn across your knuckles here. I'd say, yeah, I think that's how you get these 2 hands talking. Just keep mechanically. That's a mechanical process. I found it to be a mechanical process of just forcing it to happen. Technique question number 5. On the upstroke, I tend to rake through strings rather than fluidly upwards. I guess you mean like you're doing a rather than a. It's probably related to this arc thing and tension in this right arm. Also, I find I tip the plectrum when I'm coming up. I'm over exaggerating. So I'm tipping my wrist, and this is very loose. You want to get that volume to be equal, up and down. And then you can work on, like, then if you're doing ska stuff or reggae, like an offbeat. I would hold that harder and force it up, but to begin with, you want an open, even arc, like I was saying, up and down in that arc shape, nice and loose, nice and fluid. Something like that. Number 6, difficult one, technique. I get confused with triplet and 16th beat. This is just a way of thinking, I find. For instance, if you hear a Queen song, they're usually quite often they're in 6/8, to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I kind of think of them in songs sometimes. But if not, an easy way, the way I would basically look at it, take an A minor pentatonic, 5th fret, do, if I count this in 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 1. If I count it in triplets, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 1. If I count it in 16th beat, the 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1. That would be the simplest way I would think about it. But to be honest, I wouldn't think about it. I would hear the song, and if I was playing something or improvising, it would. I mean, I practice pentatonics. I have done. You can practice them straight or a bit swung. But metronome will help you with that. I wouldn't get too caught up in thinking about triplets and 16ths. I'd maybe try and listen to some songs that what their time signature are, if you can find out. Like I say, a Queen song in 6/8, like We Are the Champions. and get a feel for how they feel, and then maybe play the relevant scale over that in the, following that rhythm, and that will help hammer it into your mind. But like I say, I would never think, oh, this is in 16th, or this is in, I count this in triplets. I just wouldn't think that way. But that doesn't mean you can't, but it's not how I would do it. Memory question number 7. I struggle to remember patterns, chord changes in songs and scales. So repeat, obviously, but I would say for things like chord changes, remember them more like a speech. You remember it line by line. You don't just try and learn the whole block in one hit. You remember the first line, you go on to the second line. If you've forgotten it, you go back, remember the first, second line, okay, move to the third line. You just go in stages like that. Playing a simple progression of 1, 4, 5. You do 1, 4. What's the next chord? I don't know. Okay, go back. Definitely know 1. Definitely know 4. And then it's 5. Yep. And then you go back. 1, 4, 5. Got it. What's the next one? Oh, I don't know. 1, 4, 5. 1. No. 1, 4, 5. 4. 1. Yeah, got it. I'm using the numbers in the chord in the progression. You can quite easily just call that G, C, and D. But using 1, 4, 5 means you could change to A, 1, 4, 5, and it'd be the same. It'd be the same progression, just in a different key. That might be a way to help learn. You can learn the numbers. There's a few different ways of doing that. But I would say treat it more like a journey in a car. You don't need to know the whole thing straight off the top of your head. When you get to the next corner, you're going to know where to go. A journey that you've taken many times. So once I start playing, I'll hear a melody, or I'll hear the vocal, or I'll hear a line, and it'll know where I go in the song. Also, most rock and pop songs follow somewhat similar formulas of that 1, 4, 5, or something, a variation on that theme. So you play enough of them, and you're kind of, you're most of the way there. Amp setup. This one's a great one. Talk about this for a whole 10 minutes on its own. My AC30 is a wonderful tube amp. I love it to bits, but I can't seem to get the treble and mids to gel with the bass. Either one or the other is too strong or weak. Okay, so in regards to amp, I would set that at flat. My amp's at the moment set to flat. When I say flat, I mean all the knobs to the middle is usually what that. So 5 would be some amps. I can't remember what the AC30 has on it. My 60s one has no numbers at all. So set them all flat, and then see where you are with the guitar. I do a lot more now with the guitar than I used to, and it's taken a long time to figure it out. So what I would suggest, if you haven't already tried this, turn the amp up further than you would normally, and slowly increase the level of the guitar, and you'll find it will come to life as you increase the volume. I've got this set up to add a little bit of gain as I increase the volume, and you'll find the highs will appear, so that the treble will appear more prominent as you turn up the guitar. So if I want to decrease that treble once I'm at the volume, if I'm finding it too harsh, I can turn the tone of the guitar down. So having the guitars, changing the pickup, going to do so much more than changing the amp. I mean, the amp is like taking a hammer to the tone, whereas a lot of the subtleties are in your fingers, how you affect this volume and tone here, and the pickup. Although for the first 15 years I barely touched these controls, and I forgot all about my hands making all the noise, when really most of the tone comes from how I press this fret and how I pick this string, most of it. And then after that, it's all this tiny little bit of voltage being amplified massively through this circuit. So start with the hands, and then realize that everything you change will affect how this works. So you change something here, now your bass control will work differently. So you can't be wrong here. You've just got to go with what feels right for you at the time. It will change day to day. And if you're working at extremes, I'd say you're probably doing something wrong. That's the only guidance. Like Mesa Boogie used to say, if you're flat out on a control, something, that's probably not right. So if your bass is on full, your bass is on minimum, and you'll probably find you're doing something wrong, like the guitar's too far down in volume, or old strings, or something's not right, old cable. I will say that some amps, this one is especially, if I change the bass, if I max out the bass, the treble reacts differently. So if I minimize the bass, the treble. So what I'm saying by that is all the controls are interactive with each other. It's not a case of just changing the bass and now I'll change the mid and treble independently. They're going to work differently once you change those. So just be wary of that when you do something. But I would recommend, just for fun or torment, playing with the controls of the guitar. That's where I've found a lot of the magic to be, not necessarily in the amp. It starts with the hands. Enjoy.